your love light come into me. Show me what I need to see.
Welcome to the Small Victories podcast. I'm your host, Pauline Victoria, an inspirational thought leader that offers transformational perspectives based on my unique experiences as a woman born without arms and legs. I feel like my life has been full of small victories that has led me to discover the greatness within. I believe that there is no summit upon which we reach our greatness. I believe it is a culmination of small victories achieved moment by moment when we turn toward the inward battle where we get to choose despair or hope, misery or miracles, defeat or victory. My goal is to awaken your potential, your purpose, and your power so that you can discover the greatness that lives within you. Think of this podcast as your weekly portion of tools, stories, and teachings that help you reflect on the small victories in your life. Thanks for tuning in, and let's begin. Welcome to another episode of the Small Victories podcast. I'm your host, Pauline Victoria. What if joy wasn't something that happened to you, but something you chose to create? What if your life was one big experiment and your attitude was the most important variable? In today's episode, I sit down with keynote speaker, author, and joy enthusiast, Lisa Eman, who believes you happen to the world, not the other way around. We're diving into her powerful mindset of living life as a lab, how to treat joy like a bank account, and why experimenting with your outlook might just lead you to your most joyful, purpose-driven life yet. Lisa, thanks for coming on the
Yes, thanks
show.
for having me. I'm excited to be here. I feel like we're kindred spirits, so
Oh my gosh.
old friends.
I know. Old friends about to be new.
Yeah.
So thank you so much. It is such a, not to play on words, but a joy to be in your presence and to have you on the podcast. I love having people who just have that uplifting vibe. And that's part of your message is to just be joyful and to live life as experiment. So let's start at the origin story of Lisa Eden. Like,
Yeah.
how did you come to have this attitude of joy and living life as an experiment?
Yeah, I think like many of us, if we go back in time and think about like our first, I don't know, stories, I grew up in a really small town where it was like a big old world out there to think about going beyond where I grew up, which was like a farming community and real quiet and calm.
Mm-hmm.
And I think about one of the first instances where I realized, okay, something like I have been circumstantially landed in this little teeny tiny town. If I want to go and see and do and be, like, there's probably going to have to be some action that goes along with it. And I had a woman in high school. I did an internship with someone at our local hospital, and she asked me, like, Lisa, where do you want to go to college? And college was really expensive. My dad worked at a car dealership, my mom was a hotel housekeeper. And so money was tight. Like there wasn't a ton of extra to be like, yes, and here you go. And when I was doing this internship, she was like, where are you going to go to college? And I'm like, well, I'm not. Like, I don't know if that's really in the cards for me. And I think about how sometimes other people just kind of almost like point you in the right direction, or in her instance, like create a ripple effect for me. And she did. She was like, you can go to college. She really helped me think through like where, and I say the rest is history. And I think that was the first time I realized, okay, you can let the world happen to you. Or what if you happen to it? What if you go and do the thing or try the thing? I was like, if I get there and don't like it, I can always come back home. And
Mm-hmm.
so I think it was around that time that I started maybe subconsciously thinking about, well, let's try this as an experiment. It's my job to go out and do it, not let the world like happen to me, but to happen to it.
That's really beautiful. For those of you who are just listening and not seeing the video, on the back of Lisa's wall, it says, have good ripple effect. And you
Yes.
alluded to it in your story here. Do you want to expand on that concept?
Yeah, that concept, I think of like different portions of my life. When I was an operational leader in healthcare, I was leading teams. One of our taglines was have good ripple effect. I wanted everyone to look around and be like, guys, we are here at work more than with our families. Like we are here more hours in the day. It's our job to keep our ecosystem, like to build it, maintain it, and protect it, and it's our job to have good ripple effect. And it kind of became the tagline for our team. And I think about it not only in the like how are we creating the world that we're living in, but also like from a legacy standpoint, it's the thing that I hope at the end of my life that I people look back and think she had a lot of joy. She had a lot of fun. And she made some impact. She made a difference in people's lives. And I often think about Brenda and the difference that she made by just asking a question like, where are you going to college? What are you interested in? And then kind of following that up with like well, you could go out and do that. And so that's really where it came from. And it's like, I have like these 3 or 4 mantras that I live by. And between joy being our job, living in the lab, the third one is have good ripple effect.
That's beautiful. And thank God for the Brendas out there, right? Because they bring possibility into our world where we probably didn't even think to go there. Do
Yeah.
you have some questions that people could ask themselves to open that box of possibility for them?
Yeah, I think I could go like a million different angles. But one of the areas that I always think about is joy of there's different versions of it, right? What do you enjoy to do in your work world? What do you enjoy outside of work? I have a friend who started a watercolor business actually after she read my book, which is Joy is My Job. And that is really all about how my husband and I were burnt out and we decided we wanted to have some more joy. But it was interesting because she read the book and was like, hey, we do need to carve out joy in our day. Because my husband and our family, we actually track our joy like a bank account. So we're
Mhm.
like always looking at our calendar, like, do we need more joy? And she started doing that with her husband. And one of the activities they did was they went on a date to do watercolors, like a painting class. And she
Mhm.
was like, I actually kind of love this. And so, you never know where you might find a little spark of get out there and try it. Get out there and do it. And a
Mhm.
lot of times I say, like, follow the joy, not the big, crazy, wild joy, but just like the daily, daily joy.
What would that look like?
So it's a pseudo experiment that I have been doing this last year, and it's all about comedy. So
Okay.
part of my joy is
Well,
I said to my husband, I want to laugh more. And so we have been finding reasons to go to like local comedians, like the ones that are cheap, the ones that you pay for. I'm listening right now on Audible to Nate Bargatze's book called Dumb Eyes. And so I'm just following a little bit of the joy. I don't know if there's anything that's possible for me in that, but it certainly gives me a little bit of a boost, a little bit of a laugh, and it's giving me reasons to like get out and do it. Sometimes we need a permission slip to get out there and happen to the world. And I'm like, I'm kind of curious about this. Let's see where it goes.
yeah, yeah. I know there are people out there who might be listening to this and they're going through a heavy season. I would consider myself one of those people right now.
Yeah.
My father's going through stage 4 cancer. I have a lot of our cat of 15 years just passed away. And
Oh,
like all these things have been happening that I
yeah.
won't necessarily go through all. But I was just like stuck in this, like, okay, I can't be grief 24/7. And
Yeah.
so I love to laugh. My natural temperament is joy. Not everyone's
Yeah.
temperament naturally is joy. Some of them are more
100%.
melancholy and stoic or more on
Mhm.
a lower vibe, which I mean, there's nothing wrong. We all are created the way we were created. But at the same time, I do resonate with that you happen to the world, not the other way around, because life's going to happen to us anyway. The storms are going to
Yes.
come. And if we can find some reprieve, right? The lighthouse, where's the
Hmm.
lighthouse that I can go
Yes.
toward to help me at least move through the grief a little more gracefully, or whatever it is you're going through right now as you listen to this? Do you have any words of wisdom for someone who might be going through a heavy season and feeling
Yeah.
like, oh gosh, being adding to your bank account of joy is really important, especially during those heavy seasons?
Absolutely. There's actually a chapter in the book where I mention a dear friend of mine. So she was 29, had just gotten married, had a baby, and was diagnosed with breast cancer. And we were talking about over the course of the next couple of years, we in our family have a joy calendar. So we started with a whiteboard in our bedroom where we were like jotting down things that would bring us joy, like things we used to do, want to do, could do. And then we moved it from the whiteboard to our calendar. And so my friend was doing the same thing. She was like, I need to find some joy in this really hard and heavy season. And her daughter was pretty small. And we were just talking about what she would do for joy. And it was really like making pancakes in the kitchen. It was like for like 30 minutes, I'm not, sick person. For 30 minutes, I'm a chef. And it was like a really interesting way to almost like be able to say, I can be more than one thing at once. Like I
Mm,
can be going through a really heavy season, but also like find a little joy, like sneak it in there. Yeah, it's going to look different in different seasons of your life. And sometimes you might have to fight a little harder to find the
mm,
joy. But what if you could be two things at once? And I often talk to groups about what do we tell ourselves as the reason why we can't have it? My kids don't sleep through the night. Email, dishes, after this work project, like then I will have joy. We're constantly telling ourselves something. And it's shifting that perspective to say, well, what if you then just add the word, and I deserve to be joyful? I have a million emails and they drive me bonkers. And yet I could still find a little joy. And so there's some great ideas in the book on how you do that in very small incremental ways. And then there's some fun joy challenges in there as well. So how do you do it when maybe the season is a little heavy or I don't have money? Like joy is expensive. Do you know how much things cost these days? And there's some ideas in there on how you can find a little bit of joy in the hard. And I think life is messy. And I wish
mm.
it wasn't, but we're going to happen to it, not the other way around.
Yeah, it's really beautiful. Do you have your book with you?
I do. Yeah, it's a blue
Okay,
cover. You can find it on Amazon. Joy is my job.
perfect. We'll put the link in the show notes so you can grab it right then and there. I think it's so important. And you talk about this concept bank account. We've mentioned it a few times.
Yeah.
Okay, so does this bank account have withdrawals? And then,
In a figurative sense, it really does because I always say if you are going to get money out of your account, you have to put money in. So you have to spend a little
Mhm.
bit of time like thinking about your joy and planning for it and having it
Hmm.
if you want to get some out. And I think there are like three components to joy. I think you, number one, need to desire it. I had a woman once raise her hand and she was like, I have enough joy. Thanks. And I was like, I smiled and I let the room and I was like, yeah, you're right. If you have enough. Now, I think that my gut says actually she wasn't, but right,
Yeah.
like I was pretending like, yeah, if you don't want it, you don't have it. I am not forcing that on anyone. But if you do
Yeah.
have the desire, like there's probably something behind it that says, number one, you need to give yourself a little permission. We wear lots of hats like I'm a mom, I'm a spouse, I'm a child taking care of an ailing parent. We have all these identities. And I'm like, you have to give your identity permission to have it. And then the third thing is really this idea that you need to believe that maybe it could be true. Like maybe I could be two things at once. Because
Mm,
sometimes people will be like, Lisa, I am so busy. There is no way I can fit it in. And I'm like, no, no, no. You got to change that belief. Like, got to shift it a little to say
mhm.
I'm busy, but I can also be joyful. And then start to kind of layer that in there. And there's some really fun, like quick, and I'm talking like 5, 10, 15-minute things that you can do to have a little bit of joy because sometimes time and money are huge factors. And so there's some easy ways to go do that, not only at work, but at home.
Well, you mentioned comedy. I love comedy shows also. And we actually have a local company that just started putting them on. So we're very, very excited to bring comedy to this one little island in the Pacific. But one of the things I love to do is just scroll through Facebook and dry bar comedy if you want something more
Yes.
clean or like it's already at your fingertips.
It
The
is.
ability to laugh and at least have a moment where you're depositing joy into your
Yeah.
bank account.
It is. Another really fun thing that our friend group does is every so often we have a freezer meal party. So
Okay.
we actually everybody brings something from their freezer that they've been meaning to like get rid of or eat forever. And so they bring it to our house. We make all the food. It might be like, a pizza. It might be like green beans. It might be a bag of like something that we're not quite sure what it is.
I know
But
no one dies.
yeah, I'm like, you're gonna eat a meal anyway. Are you not? Like on Friday night, are you eating a meal or are you not eating a meal? And like most people are like, I do eat 3 times a day, or maybe, two. And I'm like, okay, great. We'll come over. Let's do freezer meal. Bring something from your freezer. Let's have a meal together and call it good. So a lot of times it's just kind of, I always say like gussy it up a bit, whether it's like something you're already doing. Well, you're already gonna have a meal, pull out fancy glasses. You're already going to have
Mm.
a meal, throw a blanket on the floor and do a picnic. You're already going to do a meal, invite some people from where at work or wherever and be like, get on over here. And themes are great. Like we do a lot of theming of it's Mexican night. And so therefore, like everything is themed in that. It's the most fun to give yourself a ridiculous way to have joy in the things that you're already doing.
You're a girl after my own heart. I love themes too.
And if you don't like them, that's great. Like one of the joy challenges I give out is if you were to host a party, what would you do? And one of my good friends is a very, very, very introverted person. And she jokingly like crossed her arms and was like, Lisa, you know what party I would have? And I was like, what? And she goes, I love to garden. I grow these amazing, beautiful flowers. And I said, are you
Mhm.
going to have a garden party? She goes, yeah, but you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to put out vases out in my garden. I'm going to text all of my friends and say, we're having a garden party. Stop
Mhm.
by at your leisure and pick some flowers out of my garden. I probably won't be there when you're there, but like, welcome to my garden party. And she texted me after like the party and all the vases were gone. And her friends
Oh,
had sent her pictures of the flowers that they picked from her yard. And I was like, that's how to have a party right there. Like, you don't even have to
yeah.
be at your own party to have a party.
Yeah, who would have thought, right? And
I
some
know.
people are like that, like the idea of like hosting anything or having to socially
Yes.
interact and make conversation is exhausting for them. And so, what a brilliant idea.
Yeah, she was great. I
Yeah.
laughed and for 3 days after that. I'm like, what a party.
That's so awesome. You mentioned something about how people need permission to give themselves joy. And then you also said earlier that you have to remind yourself that you deserve it. Do you think we need to deserve joy or like it has to be earned?
No, I mean it like from more of a humanity perspective of like, hi, human. This is part of the experience. Like, you get to have this. Don't
Yeah.
forget, you already like earned it by being a human. Like, you deserve to have it. And I think, at least for me, I grew up in a family where it was like, we have to work hard. So I have this amazing work ethic. Fast forward 20, 30, 40 years, and here I am writing a book about, hey, by the way, you should have joy. Because if you overwork, this is what happens. And so I
Yeah.
think it's like a friendly reminder of you already, like, it's yours. It's yours. You don't need to earn it. You earned it as being a human being, and it's part of the experience. And like, you're welcome. If you need me to tell you that, here it
Hmm.
is.
That's awesome. Yeah, I was speaking with another guest on my podcast, and he talked about a molecule that we have in our body. It's in humans and animals and some plants, and it's called, I might butcher it, anandamide, and
Okay.
it's called the bliss molecule.
Oh,
And I was like, oh my gosh. And so, by the way, the cacao plant is one of the
I
plants
see.
that have it. No wonder, ladies, if chocolate
Yeah.
makes you happy, we're
We
feeding
need
the
more
bliss
of that.
molecule. Yeah. Right. And
I
so,
love
at the
that.
cellular level, we were created for joy.
Yes. And I don't think that you can really function in fight or flight all the time. Like it just seems like silly to me. Even in my work teams, I would say we need to work hard, but we need to play hard. Like, are we finding 5 or 10 minutes here or there to play a little bit? And that's just more like chit chatting or joking or storytelling. There are times in our day where like you should sneak it in. If you're not enjoying it, oh, you should be. And how do we infuse that? And there are some really easy ways to do it from an engagement standpoint if you're a leader, but even just from a human standpoint of just conversation of tell me a funny story about your kiddos when they were little. I mean, we all have these like stories tucked in our pocket and people are just waiting for you to ask.
It's really beautiful. You've already given some practical ideas on
Yeah.
how to insert joy into our life on a moment-to-moment basis. I mentioned earlier, there are people whose temperament is not naturally joy, or they're
Yep.
not naturally a positive, uplifting person, which we're, like I said, we're all created differently
Yeah.
with all different personalities.
Oh,
It's
yes.
fine. And I remember when I was raising my son, someone told me that they're had to read a book on temperaments. So they're actually based on our blood chemistry. We're born with
Oh,
certain temperaments, and
yeah.
one of them is melancholy. So for those personalities, they might find it a little bit harder
Yeah, to make
to,
this happen. Yeah.
yeah, to be like, it's not, or they feel like I don't really crave it because
Yeah.
it's just not in their profile.
Oh,
No.
absolutely. I've got a couple of things that I would say. Number one, if you're maybe the type of person that's, and I always say maybe it's your season of life, you're just finding things to be harder or heavier, or it's not the way that you normally think. I often will say, well, look for the crappy. Where's the
Mm,
crappy in your life? And make it happy. So I have the concept, it's literally a joy challenge called Crappy to Happy. And I want you to look at all of the unglamorous things you do in your day. It can be work stuff, it can be home stuff like laundry, dishes, Excel spreadsheets, the project that you've been meaning to do forever. And you think about it and you're like, oh, God, it's not my favorite thing. And I say, okay, we're going to probably have to do it anyway. We're not getting around it. So, where can you put joy before, during, and after? An example that in our family, which is a teeny tiny one, but that's what I want you to be on the hunt for, is like these little guys. Is when my husband and I first moved in together, I did the laundry, the socks came out of the dryer, I put them in his drawer, and away I went. And he goes, could we match our socks? And I was like, what? And he's like, put one sock inside of the other sock and then put them in the drawer. And I grew up with, we just had white socks. So who in the world would spend time like matching these white socks together? Because it was like you just grab two and you go. And he's like, could we? And for months and months, we went back and forth on like, he wanted it, I didn't. He wanted it, I didn't. And so finally I was like, fine, crappy to happy. And so I turned to my kids and I said, okay, guys, we have to match socks. And they're like, oh, do we? I'm like, we do. I'm like, Dad really loves the matching of the socks. I said, but we can turn this happy. So now anytime we match socks, we know it as a sock party. And I would yell up the stairs. I'm like, sock party. And my kids would come running because they knew either before, during, or after we were either going to listen to music, order pizza. One time they threw like the socks over the banister and made it snow. And I
ouch.
was training their brain to kind of say, like, we don't get to pick everything, right? Like, but we're going to pick how we react to it. And so if you're maybe a little bit more on the, like, your temperament's, take that stuff and kind of say to yourself, before, during, or after, what could I do? And then the final one I'll give is if you yourself doesn't need the joy, let's say you're in a spot or you're kind of like, nah, I don't need it. One of my favorite things is to get into other people's joy. So once every few weeks, my husband and I do a thing that's related to the other person's joy. So,
Hmm.
for example, I'll usually sit down, we'll watch a football game, and my whole job is to be in his joy. So he'll point out like the players, they ran for 40 million yards. And I'm like, really? Is that normal? And I just act interested and excited about his joy. And it allows me to have a little joy while he's having joy. I drug him to a Bridgerton ball where I made him dress up like Bridgerton. And I'm like, your only job is to be in my joy for the evening. And it's the most fun thing that you could possibly do is to get into someone else's joy. So those are just two quick and easy ways to do it. But yeah, it takes a little bit of what I do, what would I do? But make sure you have your list and put it somewhere so that when the time is right, you're not sitting there being like, should we have joy? Like, we have a Friday night. What should we do? I don't know. What should we do? I don't know. So I always say make a list of 3 to 5 things, put it on
Hmm.
your fridge, in your phone, and away you'll go when the time is just right.
Oh, so good. So good. Because I can relate. It'll be a Friday night, and my husband and I are like, I don't know, what do you want to do?
I
Like, we're
don't
exhausted
know.
from the week already.
Yeah.
And we're like, we'll just look at each other. And then that's when the world happens to us.
Yes.
He ends up sleeping on the couch watching a
Falling
movie,
asleep.
and I
Yep.
am on my phone and or watching a movie on my iPad in another room. So
Yeah.
it is a matter of us taking control of our situations and not being at the effect of it. I
Yeah.
think this is fabulous. I would encourage everybody to go run and get Lisa's book. Joy is my job, or Joy is,
Yeah, it's your job. The
yeah.
book's called Joy is My Job, but the
Yeah.
idea is it's like joy is not going to find you. You're going to find it. It's your
Mm,
job.
yeah, absolutely. Are there any final thoughts you'd like to give to the listener while we close today?
Yeah. I would say start small. My husband and I took our kids to a movie once because we were like, this is going to go on our joy calendar and we're going to count this as joy. And our kids were so naughty. They were like rolling around on the floor, like throwing popcorn, being loud. And I'm just like with my hand on my forehead, being like, we have to leave. Like, we are disrupting this movie. We get out in the parking lot and I turn to my husband. I'm like, we can't count this as joy. It wasn't joyful. And our kids are like running around in the grass right next to us. And my husband turns like and points to them and he's like, hey, hey, look. And our kids were having a blast. And he goes, hey, mission accomplished. You're going to get out there and start to create some joy. And it's either going to be not the way that you thought it would go. Don't forget life is messy and that you might have to shift a little. But a lot of times you can find joy in the mess. And sometimes it's just a matter of, can you believe it? These kids were so naughty and now they're being so cute.
Sometimes joy is messy.
It
Before we
is.
got on here, I told you about an event we put on the island. My husband has a catering company, and we put on this event at a ranch, and there were these women out, like maybe in their 30s, and it's girls' night out, and
Yeah.
they were like out on the hill, and my husband kind of goaded them. He's like, rolling down the hill on the grassy hill is really
Ah.
fun. And they all started doing it, like women in their 30s rolling down the hill like we did when we were kids.
It
And it's
is.
okay though. Everything can get cleaned up.
Yes.
Yeah, so you
That's
can
joy
find joy
right
in the
there.
mess, and joy is messy also. So
It is. And get
it's,
back on the wagon. If it's not joyful one night, try again.
yeah.
Mm.
Absolutely. And sometimes it really is just a simple shift of perspective. Even if it didn't go exactly the way you thought it would go, because if we have certain
Yep.
expectations, oh, they didn't sit properly and watch the movie. That was a waste of money and they were just rolling a disturbance to everybody else. Your husband, what a blessing for you to be able
Yeah,
to
I
be
was like, he
like,
could think clearly. I couldn't.
yeah, like, well, it was a joy for them. And
Yes,
so that's a beautiful shift that
it is.
anyone can have at any moment, and it's a
Mm,
choice.
it is.
So thank you so much, Lisa. Again, I'm going to encourage everybody, go to the show notes, grab the link for her book. Also in the show notes will be all her social media platforms so you can
Yeah.
follow her. If you want to be in joy, Lisa's the girl to follow. Is there anything else before we say goodbye?
Yeah. Well, thanks again for having me and get out there and create some joy.
Thank you. To the listener, you don't have to wait for the perfect moment or the right circumstance to feel joyful. As Lisa reminded us today, joy is not random, it's a responsibility. It's a job we show up for, one choice at a time. Whether you're launching a new project, navigating change, or just trying to make it through the next week with a little more lightness, you have the power to happen to the world. So ask yourself, what experiment will you run today? Because living victoriously starts with choosing joy on purpose. Thank you for tuning in, and until we meet again,
Angel
be
of
blessed.
light, come into me. Show me what I need to see. You are my pathway into the night. Lead me from shadows to light. You smile on my small victory, on my small victory. All of my life, I always knew you were the one I relied on. When every dream failed, when the worries prevailed, in your hands my spirits rose up. me what I need to see.